You said they're recording.
All right, I'm good.
All right, John Shipley's good, so we're gonna start the bold take, baby. What's up? What's up, boys?
Hey, how y'all doing, man? Glad to be back.
Number one bold take guest of all time, John Shipley, joins us again for like the 17th time.
I think they call that a recurring guest in the biz.
He's run the gauntlet more times than Gene Fournette has remembered to unmute himself at the beginning of a press conference. But he brought a friend along with us. So Kyle, go ahead and introduce yourself. I know that you cover the Niners a little bit. Is that right?
Yeah, I cover the Niners for SB Nation. And then I just make fun of people on the internet. That's pretty much what I do.
All right.
The same exact thing, except for the Niners part.
No, man. Once Dilla said, like, yo, you have anybody like you'd want to bring on? Posey was literally the first person that came to mind. Like, one, dude's got the football knowledge, and two, that there's nobody who's better at both giving and taking the shots.
Nice.
I love it.
I love it.
Yeah, you'll fit right in tonight. So
you guys definitely dog the hell out of me often. So yes.
Dude, so
hey,
I've been following
before we even jump into the football content. Hey, KP, hit me with so I heard my homies all placed a bet about something quarterback Matthew Stafford going to the 49ers and now I'm broke. Can you elaborate real quick?
I'm in a 10-man Madden league. Only three of us know you, Kyle. 7 of us put money on that because of what you said.
He was the freaking pick, man. And hey, and it's funny that you say that because right now I would tell you to do the same for Fields to the 49ers.
I'll do it again.
Okay.
I need Fields to go there solely for selfish reasons, man. I just vindicate all of my takes. I don't care about anything else. Just give me that dopamine.
So what you're saying then, Kyle, is the real money should be on Mac Jones then for Trey Lance?
Yes. Whatever I say tonight, just fade me. For sure.
I was asking because I saw Fields at like plus 550, I think last night or this morning, and I was like, I gotta throw a couple bucks on that, right? Like 550 pick 3.
It's happening. Trust me.
Okay, so I'm
not gonna ignore Matt Stafford and trust me.
Bold take betting tips brought to you by Kyle Posey.
Hey.
It's funny because I've been following him on Twitter for a little while, and I don't really follow a lot of people outside of like
our bubble.
Jags Twitter, but
you should.
I know I definitely should. Yeah, so I've been trying to follow a little bit more, but the reason I follow
hold on, time out. You don't follow people, period.
Yeah,
my man went on a straight purge like a year or two ago, and he brought it down to like 112 people.
It's true.
That timeline's probably perfect, by the way.
Exactly. It's fucking wonderful. Yeah, it was great. It was better before I started refollowing people. But I followed him because I always saw people busting his ass, like other football Twitter people, but he always took it the right way. I was like, I like that dude. I'm gonna follow that dude.
That's a horrible thing to be known for, by the way.
I'm the same way, dude. Like they all bust my ass. If you weren't here, they'd be busting my ass. So I kind of saw a little bit of myself in it.
You get kind of mad though.
Yeah. What can I do?
Solly, I gotta say the Jason Oweh question from Couch that took me out, dog. I had to take a step back from my phone.
Oh, I'm gonna read it. I got an answer for him.
All right. Well, speaking of, we got Kyle. We appreciate you joining us, man. This is in case you haven't been able to ascertain this yet. This is we're pretty unconventional here, or non-conventional. We just kind of flow, and that's I think what we've become known for. Just shooting the shit and hanging out with the buddies and talking football. So like Solly said, we appreciate you joining us. I think the idea behind this episode, for those that are going to listen to it tomorrow and Thursday on draft day, right? We live in the freaking information age. Everything's been debated. If you're following the draft and you're a big Jaguar fan, you have probably already done 5,000 mock draft machines yourself. You know a lot of the prospects. You know who is being mocked to us and all of those things. So we're not going to regurgitate a bunch of that crap, but we did want to get Kyle's perspective on several different positions, and then just kind of a fresh outside perspective as well for somebody outside of the Jaguars world about some of these prospects that maybe are going to be mocked to us or that are potentially going to go to us. And then especially get Shipley's take on a lot of this noise around 25, 33, 45, and maybe a little bit of the rest of the draft. So that's sort of, boys, what we're gonna hop into. And then hopefully hit you up with a couple of questions as well that we've gotten from some of the listeners. I think Solly plans to take full credit for each one of those questions, just as a heads up. But so please at him if you're angry that your question was asked and you were not. Do not at the pod handle or me or Dilla, just Solly.
Told you I'm the one that gets picked on, right, Kyle?
You never
I had to do it. I had to do it at that point. All right. So first question for you boys. Who are the Jags taking at number 1?
Ian Book.
Yo, no.
That reminds me, I'll go ahead and give credit to this listener who asked the question. Let me find it here. Hang on. This is a big one.
Real quick, Ian Book is Gardner Minshew and went to Catholic school. That's my scouting report.
So
Gardner Minshew didn't go to Catholic school?
I'm a guess now.
Look at him.
No, he past tense. He went, and that's what's resulted.
Old take listener E_Dilla asks, what's going to be the mood in Jacksonville when the Jaguars take hometown hero Mac Jones?
You know what? Actually, let's just swing it over to KP since that's his reality.
Yeah, it really is.
So what did y'all think about the video going around today of Mac, doing bumps, doing lines?
No way. I didn't see that.
Did you guys not see that video?
No.
For real? Nobody has?
Love it.
It's like all over 49ers Twitter.
Shit. Oh, yeah. Well, I've seen that in person, so I didn't know there was a video.
Yeah, man. He's like in the club, in the bar. He has a phone in it, like just talking crap. And then obviously he has like Coke residue all over his shirt. How have y'all not seen this today? Did you not log on to the internet?
It's a busy day for me. I don't know about you guys.
So based on that alone, maybe he'll fit right in with Urban Meyer,
Oh.
So I got a user question. I got a listener question number 2 that kind of fits in here is and this is from our homie Slot Fade. How quick will Nick Bosa vote for Mac Jones as captain? Some of our questions are rhetorical. You don't have to answer that.
They're definitely in a group chat together.
No, for sure. Day one already. They're like George Kittle's over there firing off memes. He's not in the group chat yet, but they're already in it. They're in.
Well, why do you think they traded up?
There we are.
This is an SB Nation 49ers podcast this evening.
Clearly.
But seriously, before we go any further, it's clear that you guys both, if you were the GM of the Niners, both of you guys would take Fields, right?
Yeah, no doubt.
Can you please enlighten us?
I mean, if I'm like the GM of like the Jets, I'm taking Fields, like no question. It's been so weird to me that Wilson's like number 2. If I'm the Niners, I'm like sprinting to the podium with that. But I'm living with Lance. Like either one of those, I think I'm fine. Like Mac's literally the only option out of 5 that I'm like, all right, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense. Like, why would you? What are we doing here? We've wasted so much time talking about Mac freaking Jones in the top 5. It's unreal.
Dude, the whole Mac Jones thing is so confusing to me as an Alabama fan. I was worried he was going to stay in school and he was going to make the better quarterback, Bryce Young, transfer out. And now we're talking about him getting drafted 3rd overall. It really does make my mind just like explode.
Would he even started over Bryce Young if he went back to school?
Yeah, maybe not. Like legit. Like we saw what happens with Fields and Jake Fromm or whoever it was before him. Like that can ruin your program if you don't play the right one. So I don't know. I don't understand the Mac Jones hype at all.
My Mac Jones take is I've lived in Jacksonville for like 20 of my 24 years on this earth. I learned this fall who he was.
Yeah, no, that's
no
real.
idea he was a big Jacks dude. Had no clue.
Well,
all you need to know.
The probably Kyle. I won't assume that you know this, but Mac's quarterback coach, like his private quarterback coach, or one of the guys he's worked with, is a local QB trainer here out of the area. And he's a buddy of ours, been on the podcast before. And even when we had him on, now I'm not going to put words in his mouth right now, but when we had him on, what he did say, he didn't say Mac shouldn't go third overall, but what he did say was, I think Mac has a lot of ability. I haven't talked to him in a month or so. This was right around when he was going to declare or not declare. He said, I really think he'd benefit a lot from going back.
Wow.
Not because he doesn't have the ability to do it, and he's a really smart guy, and he can make the throws, and he can do it. He can process the information. But I think there's just little things that he could work on in an off season rather than training for the combine and the pro day, like really working on the nuances of the game that, he would really benefit from. So that's like, we've gotten that from him, plus Dilla's perspective as a Bama fan. And so, I'm sitting here and I'm like, okay, all right. Kyle Shanahan maybe knows more than all the rest of us if that's the pick. But
I can't wait to put that in an article, by the way.
Oh, shit.
Anonymous source. Don't worry. You're source John Capriato.
Oh no. Well, in that case, his QB coach is Tom House. So there we go. But what's the dude out of Atlanta?
Quincy Avery.
Quincy.
Yeah, Quincy Avery. That's who it was. It's Quincy Avery. It's Quincy. But anyway, all right. Well, so let's get to it, Chip. Maybe at 25, you start us off.
Yeah.
Who you think is really in play for them, and then maybe if there's a difference between that and who should be in play for them if they're there. It could be, you can rattle off 4 or 5 guys, whatever. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I mean, I've been thinking on this, the last couple of days, and around this time last year, a few guys came to my mind, and I really felt like, I was going to be right about them taking Justin Jefferson. And Billy, as well as I do, like how many people there thought they were taking Justin Jefferson. So I'm kind of getting a similar feeling on a couple guys this year. I feel like the 3 guys who make the most sense at 25 would probably be Christian Barmore, Moreg, and Carlos Basham. Personally, I wouldn't take Basham in the first round, but it seems like literally every article from an insider or anything that comes out that says who's one dude that's going to be in the first round that nobody's put in there, it's Basham. And he just seems like a bulky pick. Bulky loves picking on defensive line. Dude weighs almost 280. He can play inside and outside. He had great testing numbers, and he just seems like a kind of defender that would fit that, multiple kind of scheme that Baltimore runs that is bringing over to Jacksonville. And then Barmore, I think, I believe the fact that, some anonymous scouts or whatever are saying he probably, has some motivation issues just because his motor runs hot and cold when you watch him. And I mean, I don't think it's a coincidence that his best stretch of games came, in their most significant games. But with that said, the Jaguars, if they pick an Alabama guy, I'm just going to be assuming that they got the best intel possible because they have one Urban Meyer who's extremely close to Nick Saban. And then they got 2 Tosh Lupoy who, again, used to work under Saban. They have 2 guys who have Saban's ear. So if they pick Barmore, I'm going to have to assume, they're comfortable with how he really fits in there. And then Moreg, I think he's a player who should go around that late first, early second range, but I'm not positive the NFL does just because he's more of a steady, reliable safety than he is like a guy who's going to be flying over the field making plays. But I really like him and how versatile he is. And I can see the Jaguars liking him a lot just because he can do a lot of different things in terms of, manning up on tight ends, coming down in the box, deep drops. So I think those are the 3 guys that probably make the most sense right now.
Yeah. Kyle, that's a perfect segue to ask you about Moreg and sort of what type of player you see him as at the next level. I mean, right now in the Jags secondary, we don't have that pure cover guy necessarily. The guy who you're going to bring down and who can cover guys in the slot, but also, cover tight ends, kind of that modern free safety that I think a lot of these teams are looking for. We've got some bigger guys, more box type safeties, and then a guy who's sort of a tweener, I would call him, and Jared Wilson. Does Moreg really fit that role, or what's your opinion of him as a prospect?
Yeah, he can cover, and that's probably his best bet is just covering tight end. So if that's what you're looking for, he's the guy. But he's kind of passive, and I don't want to call him soft, but if you said it, I wouldn't argue with you. So he just doesn't seem like a guy that's aggressive, that just wants to tackle. And then when they have that kind of passive bone in their body, that would be like a hard pass for me. So in that sense, I would be scared of taking him that early because, when you think of a first round safety, you think of a guy who's just aggressive and does everything, can cover, can run, can be aggressive, can hit you. And that I don't really get those vibes when I watch him. I do like the idea of, and Trent Baalke, speaking of ACLs, that's a guy who always takes risks. So Andre Cisco out of Syracuse, he tore his ACL, but he is like the best safety in the draft to me. So maybe wait around, take a gamble on an ACL guy and hope that Cisco just gets healthy. But he is a guy who I would take 100 times out of 100 over Morg. And I actually think Morg's teammates pretty better than him too.
Wow.
I was going to ask that real quick, Cap, if I can jump in.
Hop in. Yeah.
If you did take a safety in the first round and it wasn't Morg, is there anyone there that you think has good value?
I wouldn't take anybody in the top 50.
Okay, fair enough. You would just take a flyer on Cisco. We have the picks to do it, so it makes sense. I dig it.
KP, how you feel about Holland Morgan?
Small and slow, honestly.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I was going to say, he didn't look super explosive. Then he tested good as hell.
Yeah, I mean, everybody tested good this year. Like, we all would have ran a 4.4 if we had pro days this year. So
you wouldn't. Yeah, you wouldn't have. I've seen the tape.
Dilla's running his 40 soon, I think.
Oh yeah, we got to see that.
Stay tuned for that.
What about, so while we're on the safety topic, I kind of consider myself the resident safety expert. Basically all off the fact that I was one of the leaders of Ashton Davis Hive last year. Still a big fan, but anyway, not tooting my own horn or anything, but sort of. What are your thoughts of Richie Grant out of here locally?
You made it seem like Ashton Davis lit it up last year. By the way.
He was fantastic, but I don't know what you're talking about. He was amazing. He was great. They didn't even miss Jamal Adams. They were like, Jamal Adams who?
I'll agree with that. They could have had you at safety and they would have missed them.
That entire secondary can play, though, at UCF. So I don't really feel like you could go wrong with anybody there. I think Richie Grant is good. I don't know how good he is. I mean, if you go based on what you saw at the Senior Bowl, he looked like a baller and like a guy you would take really early. But I don't know if his actual game tape reflects that. But he can do all the things we were talking about that Morgan can do and probably at a better value. So I'd much rather have him in like the third round as opposed to Morgan at 25 or wherever you would be in the top 50.
Oh yeah, no, Grant, especially after that top 40 picks, I think he's way better value. I think probably if he plays in the Big 12 instead of the American Conference or whatever the hell it's called now, he probably has a chance to compete with Murray to be that first safety off the spot. I'm obviously biased due to my UCF ties, but I mean I'm pretty comfortable saying he's a mix of Deion Sanders, Jim Thorpe, and Ron Woodson.
No pressure.
Yeah, that seems.
Grant is dope though. He's a little older, but he literally did everything for UCF, man. Like deep cover, lining up in the slot, coming down, making aggressive hits near the line of scrimmage. Dude did everything, and then like Kyle said, they got a couple defensive backs. Aaron Robinson's a really fun slot player, and then Tay Gowan. He only played like a handful of games in college, but he's a really talented guy too.
So you guys were talking about Alabama and the ties. Are you going to rule out I don't know if Urban doesn't value running backs like that, but why wouldn't he take Najee?
So I just think Najee doesn't make any sense because they have James Robinson.
Sure.
And I think if you're going to take a back that early, to me, it'd be ETN because he's someone who complements him better. But I, of course, wouldn't be upset with Najee Harris. I think he's going to be a good player, but I think the Jaguars need a home run hitter, and Najee's going to eat you up. I think you're going to get more big plays out of Najee as a pass catcher than someone who's going to be ripping big runs. He'll eat you up, probably kill teams at the end of games. But in terms of, home run hitter, I would prefer to go with ETN if they did go running back early.
Yeah, and I think from my angle to add to that, it seems like now they'll probably come out and draft Najee because we're saying all this, but it seems like at 25, maybe it's different if they're at 33 or if they drop any further, but ETN or Najee or any of those guys, like there are greater needs that probably also fit some value based on the guys who are going to be on the board at 25 and 33, at least just the way that, we all think, one of the 2 million ways that we've hypothesized things going. it seems to kind of play out that way. The interesting thing with saying that is like we're all sitting here trying to talk it out of happening, but I don't think anybody would be pissed off if we drafted either one of them either. So it's like that weird, like we'd be happy because I think we're getting a really good player, but at the same time, when you look at all the other guys that potentially could be there, whether it's O-line type players, D-line, edge, or interior, or even receiver, which I know we'll get to in a moment. I don't know. That's sort of my take on it at 25 and 33, especially. So
I noticed when talking about Richie Grant, both Kyle and Shipley both said the magic Trent Baalke word, value.
Uh-oh.
Keep it in mind.
Speaking of value, you guys have like 37 picks. Is there a chance that you trade back up? You're at 25. Is there a guy that can fall, package to move up into the teens and somebody falls?
Everybody's jerking off for Kyle Pitts to fall like to 8 or 9, but
just so they can move back up and get him?
I don't know if I'm rooting more for them to trade up for Kyle Pitts because he'd be from the cover, or because the meltdown of all the Jags/Gator fans when they don't pick them will be amazing. They'll be like, how the hell do we not pick him? Like, he's not about to go top 5 and your next pick is 20 picks. Like,
yeah. I honestly hope we trade up and take JC Horn, something like everyone's going to think it's Kyle Pitts. Like, he's still there at like 5 or 6 and we take JC Horn. That would be amazing.
I hope they take Pat Freiermuth at 5.
I would call him back and tell him I don't want my tickets.
Yeah.
In all seriousness, if there's a great lead-in by our esteemed guest host here, Kyle. I did want to ask you this, Shipley. If you see guys that are dropping, or if there's a couple of guys that maybe you would think they would jump back up for, who would they be?
That's a good question. I would have to think a couple offensive linemen would have to be up there. I know they say they're like their offensive line, but at the end of the day, they have to be realistic in knowing that, past 2021, only a couple of these guys are even under contract. I mean, even Linder, he only has 2 years left on his contract. Jawan Taylor's going to have 2 years left, and he might not even be good. So I would imagine an offensive lineman, like maybe a guy like Tevin Jenkins, maybe a guy like Christian Darrisaw. And then other than that, I've kind of been like wondering that question, especially since yesterday when I went over just Trent Baalke and just how incredibly galaxy brain he is when it comes to draft day trades. That dude loves trading. I'm convinced he does it just to do it sometimes. Like I was telling Solly, he literally traded 1 pick for like 2 other picks and then traded those 2 picks. Like he traded like pick 56 and then traded those picks he got just to go to 57 and pick Carlos Hyde or something. I'm like, dude, what the hell was even the point of all that? So
I made 4 trades to move back 1 spot,
but I don't know for who.
Yeah. What about some of the guys, Kyle, that have been tossed out there? I mean, Dylan named JC Horn. Some of these corners that there seems to be a little bit of a, not a polarization on where they're going to go, but I mean, I think like guys like Samuel and Horn, and then what's homie's name out of Virginia Tech that slipped my mind right now. With
Harley.
Yeah.
He doesn't even have a back.
Yeah, 0 back left. He got a bacchiotomy.
Eric Stoner hit me up and said they got the same back injury, so I'm good on that.
Oh my God.
He has been removed from my draft board.
So that's another question. That's a follow-up. But like, give us your take on what you have ranked the corners that are kind of being mentioned in the first round at.
Yeah, so Horn is like head and shoulders above everybody else, I think, and that's not even close. So if that's a guy who gets to the teens, I feel like Urban should pull the trigger and have no hesitation at all, because he's going to be a dog, and he's not going to be Ramsey, but he's the closest thing to Ramsey since Ramsey has came out, and like I really mean that. He's that good. But after him, I think like Greg Newsome from Northwestern, he's right in that sweet spot around 25. So he would be a good pick at 25. Tyson Campbell's going to go a lot earlier than people think, and he is a dog. He's very good. Nobody likes him for whatever reason. Well, I know why, because, he gave up a couple plays against Kyle Pitts and Devonta Smith like every freaking body else did. But he's really good, man. So those 3 are guys that I really, really like, Newsome, Campbell, and Horn. If you can get those guys anywhere in the first, yeah, you won.
So then let's what about the big name Surtain? he's all at the top of a lot of boards at corner, but you don't have him even in your top 3.
Yeah. Do you think he's the elite corner Justice does, or you agree with me that he's got the same agility as Dilla?
So you're asking me against Justice, what do you think the answer is? If Justice likes somebody and we don't, we probably know the answer to that question.
Previous guest on the Bold Take Pod, Justice Mosqueda. Also known dummy. Shout out to our friends.
Right. No, he's not as fast as people think. I know he ran well and he tested well and he jumped well, but I don't think he plays that well. I don't think he plays that fast. And for whatever reason, people ignore the plays that he gave up. And I'm not making it sound like he got beat left and right, but it was enough to be concerned. And I think that is what people are missing. So I don't think he's in the same class as these other guys. And I mean, if Farley didn't have, no back, then he would be in the conversation too. But if we're talking about a guy with multiple back surgeries in like 2 months or in like the last couple months, that's a no. Not even messing around with that.
Yeah, I'm with you, KB. My entire thing with Surtain is like, I feel confident that he's going to be good, and he's obviously super technically sound, all that kind of stuff. But when I'm thinking about like taking a corner super high, I want to take a corner who I'm confident can match up with all kinds of receivers. The big physical types, and then the small shifty guys. I'm confident J.C. Horn can do that. I'm confident Newsome can do that. I'm not sure Surtain can do that. I think there's just going to be certain type of receivers that just give him fits.
Makes sense to me. So I guess we'll just keep it here at Alabama too. Is Devonta Smith going to fall? Talking about players that we would maybe move up for if they got into that sweet spot. Do you guys see that because he weighed at 166 or something like that?
I really don't, man. I don't think he gets outside the top 15. I don't see how. I know we saw what he weighed, but if you just watch him, you would have no idea that he weighed 166 pounds. You would think he was like super strong. You would think he has no issue getting off press. Everything that you would think a 166 pound receiver struggles with, it's just not an issue for him. But I would go, if we're keeping Alabama, why wouldn't you draft Leatherwood, play him at guard? And then if one of your guys, I don't know what Cam Robinson's contract situation is, but kick him out to the left tackle if you have to next year, play him at right tackle, who knows? But Leatherwood seems like a guy, especially a guard, who could help right away and then might mess around and be like a star in 3 years.
And
he's one of the dudes I think like makes so much sense at like 33. Like one of those guys that just barely gets out of first round, but if you don't take him there, he's not lasting.
So what is there? I know you just drafted Josh Allen and Chase on, but is there a guy like, let's say Jalen Phillips falls? Would that be a reason? Are those two enough to? And I know Josh Allen's very good. I cannot say the same for the guy we just named. So would Jalen Phillips, or would those two be enough to pass on an edge rusher like Jalen Phillips? Because I think he's a star.
No, I think that the talent level on the team, there's no position you're not drafting. So if you got a good player there, you definitely take him. I think Josh Allen is really good, and we don't even call Chase on by his name on this podcast. We call him Calvin Chase because he doesn't deserve to be called by his real name. He stinks. So, that's kind of where we sit. So if they take an edge, that we need an edge player. As far as I'm concerned, I don't know how you two fans and our local expert John Shipley feel, but when it comes to like if they took an edge, there are certain edges I don't want, but I would be excited for a couple of them.
Who? Come on.
Basham, I would be cool with Basham. I would be cool with Phillips, like he said. It's more of like who I don't want. I don't want the cat out of Penn State who's been playing football for a year and a half just because he's been playing football for a year and a half.
Sounds like the same guy we drafted last year.
Yeah, it reminds me of Calvin Chase.
Right, and I guess that's the thing. This year we have coaches who can maybe develop players, but like I still am a broken fan and would rather draft someone who's got production on tape versus another Calvin Chase.
Just develop Calvin Chase. You already got him.
Yeah.
Speaking of Calvin Chase, can we go ahead and read BCB Couch's fan question?
Sure. Hit him with a fan question.
And then maybe, I know Kyle's got like 5 minutes. We can get his opinion on the rest of the receivers and then let him bounce.
Yeah, that's where I was going to go. But let's take a brief intermission here and have a fan question. Fan question.
So BCB Couch threw a haymaker at me. Really too soon after a very serious event in my life. He says, how will the Jags justify selecting a guy at 25 and Jason Owe enters the league having the same number of sacks in 2020 as Solly has after his vasectomy? And
R.I.P. to Solly's balls.
I just want to say that hurt a lot.
Did it hurt as much as or equal to the actual pain of having your scrotum cut into?
Not as bad as that, but I do want to give this one back to our pal J-Pon. Maybe if he had thought about having a little procedure done a couple years ago, maybe his wife would have let him out of the house in the past decade or so.
He also wouldn't have 17 children. So
Right.
shout out J-Pon.
Have fun paying for those 3 weddings too, asshole.
It's 2021, and I still remember when she took over his Twitter account.
That was the craziest night ever.
Top 5 or top 10 moments in Jaguars Twitter history?
Oh my god.
Top 5 for sure. That shit was crazy. I was scared, and it wasn't me.
Kyle, it was some serious stuff, man. We had a buddy on Jaguars Twitter whose wife was just not happy with him and maybe his Twitter usage amount, and she went like just complete fatal attraction on him. And
She took the phone and started sending tweets out from his account.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I've met Eric Stoner.
Hey, shout out to Eric Stoner. I saw a new Stoner Mansion, West Coast edition.
Hell yeah.
Living large. Love you, Stoner. So okay. Where were we going with this one? Oh, Jason Owe.
No, let's get Kyle's takes on the rest of the receivers that we haven't talked about.
Let's do it. Kyle, what are your takes on all the receivers?
You like Smith or Waddle better?
So I got Waddle as wide receiver 1. I think he's going to be a star, man. He's going to be really, really, really good. So I mean, if I don't think he gets out of the top 10, but if that's a guy who slides, maybe think about trading up. But you probably don't want to trade up for receivers just because there's so many. So maybe once you get to 25 and 33, like Elijah Moore would be a perfect complement to a guy like Marvin Jones, I feel like. So I don't know how do you guys feel about DJ Shark?
I like him a lot. I want him back at the right deal. I feel like, you know what I mean? And I want to see what he looks like with Trevor too. Cause he actually, he's been playing with Dilla and Shipley throwing him the football since he got here. So, I'm anxious to kind of see that and to see, if he can return to kind of 2019 levels or even elevate that. I like what they have there. I have a question for you about Elijah Moore, because admittedly, he's kind of one of the guys who I haven't studied a whole lot or looked into a whole lot. Studied. I say study. I don't fucking study, but I haven't looked into a whole lot. What does he do well?
Everything. I'm dead serious when I say that. I'm not going to say there's no flaws, but I am going to say there's no flaws to his game, because what you want at the NFL level, like he does it all. Like he can catch in traffic, he can run, he can really, really run, he can create for himself, and he can get open, man. So you can use him in the backfield, and I know that that is a thing that Urban did a lot at Ohio State. So he's as close to Curtis Samuel as it gets in that sense. So if you're mad that you missed out on Curtis Samuel, then Elijah Moore is your guy.
I love the Elijah Moore, Tyler Lockett comp, just because of how that dude attacks the ball downfield. Like, being a smaller guy, you would never guess it the way like he attacks the football. Like, he comes down with so many of those jump like balls that he's not just like a short slot who's gonna create after the catch. Like Kyle said, he can do it all. And I'm frankly concerned how often him and I are agreeing, because that normally never bodes well for either one of us.
It means we're gonna take all those guys and they're gonna suck. I can't wait.
Yes.
Ignoring Rondale Moore's injury history, who do you like more as a prospect between the two Moores, Elijah and Rondale?
Yeah, I would take Elijah Moore pretty comfortably over Moore. I do like Deontay Brown at a UNC. That's a guy that I would take pretty early, and I would have no issue taking him in the first round. And I also like Dwayne Eskridge, another guy, but he not in the first, obviously, but maybe in the second, later in the second. So all those guys are going to be, you can get the ball in their hands right away, and they just take off like explosive plays, big plays. And especially, Trevor Lawrence, you find a freaking quarterback who gives their guy a chance. So yeah, take advantage of the strong wide receiver class.
But I just like to go on record and say that I no longer want Rondale Moore or Trevon Moehrig because KP told me that.
Remember, if I'm wrong, this never existed.
It never happened. Never happened.
Posey, I want your take on this, and I want the guys too, fellas. Give me your reaction if/when the Jaguars take Tony at 25. And KP, can you tell me if you agree with me that Tony doesn't belong anywhere within the first 45, 50 picks because I just don't get it.
Yeah, if you're just listing the top wide receivers in the draft that actually do wide receiver things, you are not going to come up with Tony. So I would not touch him. Just all the guys that we just mentioned, not even in the same class. Like he's not in the same class as him. I would take, other guys we didn't mention like Terrence Marshall, even Tylan Wallace, who has tested like a high school athlete. I would take over Kadarius Toney. So yeah, man, I know it's flashy. I know it's fun. He has a great clips, but you got to do every play, man. And he just freestyles way too much for me.
I'm not letting him run a single route past the line of scrimmage.
Right.
Yeah.
Sounds like a UDFA to me.
My reaction would be unsurprised because I picked him as a Jaguar lock in my mock draft last week. He's a lock. He's going top 33 to us. Guaranteed.
Lucky you.
A Jaguar lock. Kyle, before we let you go, I'm going to ask Shipley the same question in a few moments, but any sleeper draft crushes? I think every year we all got those, right? The guys who people aren't talking about going day one, maybe day two, that you've just studied and that you really love.
I don't know if you would say any sleeper ones, but the Cisco dude out of Syracuse, I know he doesn't have a knee, but he is a star. Like if he wasn't hurt, he would easily be a top 20, top 15 pick. So that is a guy that I really, really like. I talked about Campbell out of Georgia. He's not a sleeper because he's going to go really early, but he's going to be I feel like he's Marlon Humphrey 2.0, like 1.0 to me. Like he's going to be that guy. He's a clone of Marlon Humphrey. So all these guys that a lot of these guys that people are talking about, they're kind of iffy about. I'm a lot higher on them. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I got a couple people on offense. I in like a zone scheme where he has a line that can help him pick his spots. I really like Louisville running back Javian Hawkins. Obviously a smaller guy, but man, once he finds a crease, he just erases pursuit angles. North Texas receiver Jaylen Darden, another super small dude, and what's like really a really small receiver class in general. But man, he just like he's the definition of twitchy. He just like he bounces out of his breaks, he explodes downfield, and then Houston edge rusher Peyton Turner. I wouldn't really call him a sleeper because he has a chance to be a top 50 pick, but he's not a guy anybody was really talking about during the season or even when the season ended. But you watch him and you're wondering, okay, why doesn't this guy get like early second round hype?
Gotcha.
Got
one more
else
before you bounce. Hey, one more for you. Hey, if the Jaguars are definitely taking a tight end at 33, which one is it?
Oh, and obviously, so maybe that Hunter Long is a guy that I really like at tight end, and you're not going to take him at 33, but I feel like he's going to outperform the 4 or 5 tight ends that go before him. I think he's going to be a stud.
I'd rather take Hunter Long in the third and Pat Freiermuth in the second.
Perfect. That's kind of what I was getting at. I don't think the value there in the second round is worth it for what you can get later.
At all.
No, this tight end class, not to say any like position group ever sucks because all these guys are great football players comparatively, but in a vacuum, this tight end class sucks, dude. It's Kyle Pitts and a bunch of dudes. Like it's terrible.
Take advantage of the offensive line. Like with those early picks that you have, this offensive line, like they have some legit ballers. You mentioned Tevin Jenkins. I have no idea why he's not talked about as like a top 15 pick. So
yeah, no, I'm
with
him. Like he's literally a definition of like pass protection not being passive. Like you literally just see him riding dudes like 10 yards away from the quarterback.
He's Ramczyk from the Saints. Like he's a star. He's an obvious star. Why are you messing around with this?
I like that. No, I think offensive line, receiver, and corner are all positions that are really deep this year.
For sure.
Well, KP, we're going to keep rapping about offensive line. You're welcome to stay, but I know you got to bounce. So thank you for coming on. We'd love to have you on again, man, sometime to shoot the breeze. And if you want to plug anything else that you got going, feel free.
Nothing at all, man. Just remember, Justin Fields number 3, Matthew Stafford never happened.
Love it.
All right, boys.
Good.
Take care.
It.
Good talking with you.
Appreciate it, man. All right. So then there were 4. Ship, expanding on the offensive line a little bit. I'm glad you brought up Tevin Jenkins. I really like him. In our pod text a little bit ago, earlier today, we were talking Elijah Vera Tucker. And he's somebody who I think Dylan and I both agree, like we didn't know a lot about 3-4 months ago. I knew the name, right? Like he was that guy who was like first, second round and some of the mocks I was looking at and the draft machines and all that. I'm looking at him. Then he tested, and now you're starting to see him really kind of almost, it seems like, be solidified to be like a top 25, 30 player or more, or earlier. What are your takes on him?
Honestly, at this point, unless they go pass rusher, I'd be kind of surprised if the Vikings pass on him because, he's just a guy who he can play all over the offensive line. Like he can play both guard positions. He can play both tackle positions. He could probably honestly even play center. Like he is just like, he's not going to like wow you in terms of like, okay, like Mekhi Becton or something in terms of like he's like mauling people and putting up highlights, but he just doesn't lose reps, like he is the same dude consistently snap to snap. He's rock solid in pass protection. He's always on his man as a run blocker. And like I said, he can play multiple positions. He played left tackle in 2020 and played left guard before that. I'm personally playing him at guard just because I think he has the potential to be like a Pro Bowl / all-pro caliber player there. But I think for a team like the Jaguars, who have so many long-term questions and kind of need a guy that you can slot at different spots, I think he makes as much sense for them as, really anybody. I think him and Tevin Jenkins might be the two guys that make the most sense for them just because both of them have proven they can play different spots.
Yeah. Am I crazy? Am I crazy to almost want or to really be leaning towards wanting them to go offensive line at 25?
No, when you look at it, that's where the best value is. Because, as much as I like Mulrick as a player, it's probably true that he isn't really your prototypical first-round safety. You're probably better off taking a safety in the second round. Barmore is a solid player, but if he's hands down the best defensive tackle in the defensive tackle class, that class probably sucks. And, looking at receivers, the only receivers that really make sense over there would be slot guys. And I'm not sure you're taking a slot guy at 25. So when you look at value, the only value that to me really makes a whole lot of sense is offensive line at 25, which is why it's been kind of confusing to me that Urban has hammered home so many times how confident he is in the offensive line. Because I get that he feels that way. I'm not sold exactly why. And then I'm curious, like, okay, what are your plans for the future? Because most of these guys aren't even going to be here.
Right. And I to kind of elaborate on that from my end, it honestly makes me worry that he's saying that so much, unless it is some sort of smokescreen, because for all the reasons that you just laid out, we don't have a lot of guys under contract going forward, at least long term. B, both of your tackles are still question marks. They're really talented, high potential guys, but they're question marks. So for like in a draft where you have so many picks inside the top 50, and it being by all accounts, really, anywhere you look, anywhere you ask, anybody you talk to, it is a extremely deep offensive line class, mainly at the premium level, right? The early talent. There's a lot of really high level talent. So to not come away in those first 3 picks with an offensive lineman just seems really off to me.
I think there are probably 5+ guys in this class who could walk into Jaguars facilities and be the best tackle on the roster from day one.
Yeah. And I think
and that's what makes it so weird to me, like you said, because Jawan Taylor and Cam Robinson have potential, but when you look at both their careers, each one of them have really had were some okay rookie seasons. Other than that, what really have the Jaguars, gotten out of them? Like, I know they're rolling the dice on potential because they didn't like the left tackle market, but you can't just be drafting for 2021 in my mind. You got to be looking way past that, especially when you're taking the face of the franchise, number 1 overall. Why, as of right now, you don't have a left tackle next year, so you shouldn't operate like you do.
Yeah, and to your point, if you can solidify the face of the franchise, a franchise quarterback, by all accounts, that's what we're all planning on, right? From a roster building standpoint. And then back it up with a really mean, nasty player at 25 or 30. That's going to be on that line, hopefully for the next 5+ years. Like that seems like a no brainer to me, especially in a situation where receiver is really deep, So maybe you can dip into that a little bit later. And, you know, you made the moves on the defensive line for the most part to, you know, be okay if you had to start the season just with what you have right now. I don't know. I think all signs point to that, which means they're probably taking Kadarius Toney. But on the offensive, like Solly said, shout out Solly in the Solly mock draft. Hashtag trademark. Couple of guys I did want to get your opinion on. Sully Football, who is the resident expert on offensive line play. Shout out Sully. Guys like Walker Little, have you studied him much?
Yeah, no, I like Walker Little. My only problem with Walker Little is he's played like 2 games in the last 2 or 3 years because of injuries and then opting out last year. But like when you watch him in like 2018, which it feels so wild to think that like 2018 was so long ago at this point. But you watch him in 2018, I mean, dude just moves and looks like a left tackle. So I think if you can get like some more experience under his belt and get through those growing pains, I think he's a guy you can take in the second round and you could probably start him at left tackle. And he might even go first round just because he was a mega recruit coming out.
Yeah, he's a big dude, but runner big, I think will be a better prospect.
Walker Little, runner big. Oh my goodness, this guy, a regular knee slapper and a regular knee slapper. Do you like? To me, he's kind of that guy who it seemed like 2 months ago, draft Twitter was like, oh, he's a 5th round pick, or you know, a 4th round pick, and now all of a sudden it's like, oh, he might be a 2nd round pick, he might be a 1st round pick. He's one of the more intriguing guys to see where he goes. I feel like Walker Little, not runner big.
It's always funny at like the start of January how you see some people's opinions and just like compare them to like when April comes around after all the NFL teams that kind of release like the little tidbits through people. And, you know, that's why I try to stay consistent. I've been saying Kadarius Toney doesn't belong as a wide receiver for, you know, like 2 years now. So, you know, just things like that, you know, try to stay consistent. But I'm with you. I think Little's probably going to end up going. I think he's going to go top 50 just because I think the NFL is going to value his traits a lot and the position he plays. But I really do think the league as a whole is going to look down on guys who didn't really play last season.
Yeah. All right. I got to ask you, while we're talking offensive line, I have to ask you about really the offensive guard of the future for the Jacksonville Jaguars, Ben Cleveland.
You gonna be able to prime from Sully?
I've already told Sully like this. He's already listen. Ben Cleveland doesn't know it, but he's already best friends with Brandon Linder. Like he doesn't know it, but he's already best friends. Like, and I've already been feeding him. And I've got my boy JD Groover. Shout out JD. He messaged me last night. Was like, I'm hanging with Ben Cleveland this weekend, and if he gets drafted by the Jaguars, I've got a Bull City Brigade hat right there. He's putting it on, and we're tweeting out the photos.
Let's go.
But then he told me that the Jags haven't talked to him in like over a month, but the Titans have a bunch. And I'm like, oh, motherfucker.
When you said you were talking to JD, I was thinking, well, JD's the 3rd best friend, Cleveland, Linder, and JD, right? And then you were saying,
pretty much. But I've been sending Cleveland on Twitter, like just randomly, like adding him with photos of Linder's Instagram, like just like look at this guy. He's got. Want to hang out with? Oh, you like fishing? Brandon Linder has a $500,000 yellowfin offshore boat. You want to hang out with him? Oh, he's got property for all sorts of hunting up in Georgia. You want to hang out with Brandon? Look at this. Oh my goodness! Look at him in a duck blind. You guys are best friends. You don't even know it yet.
You'd be a hell of a recruiter.
I would, man. Sign me up. Urban needs me. They need me on that wall. What do you think as far as offensive guards? Maybe guys in the middle rounds to later. Anybody that sticks out? The Jaguar fans should kind of, because I feel like if they don't go tackle or one of the versatile guys like Vera Tucker early, you know they're coming back sometime, you know, pick 45 or later, kind of in that mid-tier and getting somebody. Is there anybody that you can?
Yeah, of course. I mean, we mentioned Leatherwood earlier. I think he's probably best at guard, but he's another guy who you can play outside of tackle. I think he's going to be one of those first few guys picked on day 2. And then other than that, Trey Smith from Tennessee, you know, he has some medical history that teams are going to feel comfortable with. But when you watch him, dude's just a bully. You know, I mean, if you can find an SEC offensive lineman who's consistently kicking ass, and you know, he's a player. You know, he was just bowling over, you know, SEC defensive tackles week in and week out. Deontay Brown from Alabama is a guy I really like if you want to be like a power running team. He's obviously not the quickest guy on his feet, but I mean he's like that meme. What is like this is like the male body prototype or whatever. Like he just looks like like an offensive lineman. Like he's literally built like a refrigerator. And then I'm trying to think who's the other guy. Wyatt Davis from Ohio State. He's not going to be that first round player that he's another one of those guys in January. It's kind of reverse. In January, everybody's calling him like a top 20 pick or whatever. And now you're seeing him late second, third round in mocks. And that's probably more so where his play is. But I really like him as a guy who plays with a lot of power. If you can get him to be more consistent and play a bit more controlled, I think all the traits are there for him to be a better version of a player like AJ Can, somebody who can legitimately be a people mover inside.
Right on.
Hey, we've seen the name a little bit. You've probably heard about it too. I know I have the center from Ohio State. I think his name's Chris Myers.
Yeah.
You think there's anything there with the Jaguars?
Yeah, I honestly think the Jaguars will probably have a lot of interest in him. One, because he was a guy that Meyer brought up. When he came out of high school, he was a 4-star guard recruit. He was a number 2 guard in the nation, only behind Wyatt Davis. So he was one of Meyer's last big gets as a recruiter. So I think they're going to place a big emphasis on that. And I think when you think about interior offensive line, I think the Jaguars are more likely to take a guy in Meyer's range at pick 65 or whatever than they are to take a guy like Creed Humphrey at 33.
Thank God. I would be upset.
You guys talking a lot of offensive line has kind of sparked something in my head that Meyer said. I don't know if it was in a press conference or if it was one of those videos, like behind the scenes videos, but he says the first thing when asking if you got a good team is he asked about defensive line. I think number 2 is offensive line, wasn't it?
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah. I mean, that's how they play, special teams and trenches. So
yeah, no, I feel confident that they're going to draft at least a couple guys who play in the trenches this year, and then a couple guys who just play special teams. There's a corner from Boise State who Dilla. We've talked about him. I'm not positive he could cover Dilla, but dude created 9 special teams touchdowns in 3 years at Boise State, and that's freaking unreal. Dude blocked kicks, he returned punts, returned kicks, forced fumbles. So I think trenches and special team specialists are going to be dudes they look at.
Interesting.
I would be shocked if the dude from Boise's there in the late rounds on day 3. I would be shocked if we don't walk away with him. He's ridiculous on special teams.
Yeah, no, he is. He's just one of those players who you don't even need to play him on defense.
Right.
Ship, if you had to right now, gun to your head, make the call on how many picks the Jaguars are actually going to make after trades, either, I guess, trading up, trading out, how many picks, because they have a lot, right? I mean, they signed a lot of dudes. They had a lot of dudes already under contract, and now they've got a shit ton of picks. So at the end of the day, how many do you think they're going to use the majority of those picks if you really thought?
I think they're going to use 8 of those picks. After looking at Balky's draft day trade record, looking at all of it in person, it's hard for me to think that they're just going to do what the Jags did last year and just be content with sitting at all those picks. And I've been waiting to go on this rant for a year, but in hindsight, picking 12 players when you're one of the least talented teams in the NFL is ridiculously stupid. Looking back now, the biggest draft class in franchise history, how many good ball players did they actually find? So
I was disappointed as fuck when that happened.
Yeah, I'm just of the opinion that if you have all those picks, try to get blue chip talent, because that's what win you games in the NFL. And right now, you look at the Jags roster, what they've been missing, and what the only thing they haven't really added this offseason is blue chip talent. They added those depth pick guys that you're going to use 10 picks on. They've added those backups. What they need is guys who can have the potential to be one of the best players at their position. So I think they're going to get aggressive for somebody. I think if there was no adult in the room, that Urban Meyer would be sending a Mike Ditka type package up for Kyle Pitts. But since there is, I kind of doubt that happens. But I honestly don't think they're going to be picking at 25. I think they're going to be moving up.
I agree fully.
And what do you think they give up to move up ultimately?
Let's go ahead and call it. What about 60, 65, and yeah, what about just the first and 65? So, I mean, move up a couple spots that's not too much of an ask. Like you see other teams trade like future force and like shit to like move up like 3 spots in the first.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think as long as the quarterbacks are all drafted by them, you don't have to worry about any like funky trades value wise.
Yeah, and that's what we've talked about too. I am rooting. I mean, I'm sorry to our new pal KP there, but I am rooting for every quarterback going. I mean, if there could be 6 quarterbacks in the first round, I am all for it because that means other good players are following, especially in those positions that are so deep. I'm all for that. All right, Ship. Cannot let you leave this evening without asking if you have any words of advice for Trevor. It's been a rough week for him. He's not getting many endorsements. Do you have any words of encouragement or advice for him on what he should do to overcome the small market situation that he's probably going to find himself in?
Yeah, absolutely. One is to make sure to always read tweets because I almost retweeted something yesterday that a Skull Candy endorsing Zach Wilson, saying there's a brand of mediocrity. So just make sure that you're putting your eyes on everything is my call, and then embrace the brand. Be that dude in Jacksonville, because at the end of the day, I don't know, and I'm this might be completely hyperbolic, but that's what the show is, and I couldn't care less. I don't know if there's going to be a bigger celebrity than Trevor Lawrence on the first day that he walks into the city.
No.
Hey, little birdie told me, may or may not be true. I'm not going to confirm or deny, but he might be around for our 25th pick after being selected first overall. So if you're going to the stadium, keep your eyes peeled.
Wow, that's big news.
I'll be there too. Slightly bigger news than the franchise quarterback. Maybe being there.
And almost
look out for John Shipley. He'll be there.
Almost as many endorsements too, I must say.
I just can't believe that Shipley said that Trevor Lawrence was going to be the biggest celebrity in town when he's literally on a call with Dilla right now.
Max, the toaster man.
That's good. That's because Dilla's going to move to New York for endorsements.
That's it. No, I'm trying to hip Dilla to the game, man. He's too nice right now. He should be pulling in more endorsements. If you're listening, toaster man, you need to pay my boy right here. You need to pay him. You're getting off easy, toaster man.
Manscaped, brought to you by E. Dilla.
That's right. Dilla, how much if like Manscaped or another razor company came to you to shave your beard, how much?
5 stacks.
5 stacks and you'll do it. There you go, folks. It's on the record.
I think the beard is worth way more than that, bro.
I'll do it for 5 stacks.
The beard's a big part of the brand, but you know what I know about Edilla because I've seen him do it before. It grows back.
Yeah, real quick.
It does. Those stacks only, and it wouldn't be anywhere near as gray as mine or as sparse as Solly's. So you got that going.
He shaves that. If he shaves that today, he'd have it grown back by the draft.
Chip, we talk a lot about, or lately we have anyway, both on the pod and just when we're texting back and forth and we're rapping together. It's a special off season, and not just because of what's happened and what's about to happen, but I think too just the uniqueness of the fact that pretty much everything right now is positive. And when you look at a franchise in the NFL, when you look at a franchise in the NFL, that doesn't happen very often. Even Super Bowl teams usually, unless they're the Buccaneers, they lose a lot of guys after they win the ring.
Especially doesn't happen in this franchise.
Oh, it's never happened. Yeah, it definitely doesn't happen often in this franchise. There's been children that are now driving legally and voting legally that have that weren't born the last time that it happened to this franchise. But what's your take? I mean, as somebody who grew up here, right, and you love this team from that angle, and now professionally you've poured yourself into it. What's it been like? Because I mean, you started kind of with some good. You went through just all the total shit the last couple of years, and now what's it like covering all this and that positivity angle?
No, absolutely. It's been legitimately like a breath of fresh air, like the last couple of years, I couldn't care less, about the Jaguars losing as many games as they did and being as much of a clown show as they have been, off the field in certain instances, because, it's my job to cover them, whatever's going on. But to actually see them. I know how it's going to sound, but actually see them make an attempt, to be like a football team and to put out a competitive team out there. That's something that I just haven't really seen, and since I've been covering the team, even during the best times, with Doug Marrone, it seemed like even that was too good to be true. Like his year in 2017, is this really him as a coach? Like you didn't really get a sense like this is what a well-ran organization and team is supposed to look like. But I just get the sense now that they at least know what they're doing, at least more so compared to say a year ago or 2 years ago. I think it's been refreshing and enlightening to see positivity as opposed to waking up every day and wondering, okay, how are we going to ask about their tight ends having as many catches as Solly has sacks this year? It would legitimately get old thinking of like ways to try to make that team interesting, because they simply weren't interesting. The 2020 Jaguars, for as much as those guys fought every week, and I respect the hell out of them, they just were not an interesting team. And 2019 wasn't much better. You know what I mean? When the most interesting thing is a quarterback with a mullet who Twitter somehow still thinks he has the first and only mullet in the world. Eventually, they'll stop being amazed by it. But when that's the most interesting thing, I think that says something. So I think to me, it's just the fact that there's actually things to look forward to. There's actually things to be intrigued by. I mean, like I said last year, they had 12 picks going in there. We talked for months and months. Are they going to move up or something? They ended up picking 12 guys and picking like 8 special teams guys. So I just feel like they're actually moving more toward being a bold team.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, we appreciate you coming on as always, man. You've definitely become our go-to guy for when we want to talk like serious shit about the Jaguars and what's going on. So, it's always appreciated. Before you do go, you want to plug anything you got going on? I always want to give you a chance. You got a ton of content that you've already put out there, which before you even answer, I'll say, no matter what he has that's about to come out that he's going to tell you right now, make sure you check a lot of the work that he's been doing, because dude, that series you did on like each position, and like guys you thought they might be targeting or they should be interested in or they might be interested in, was awesome. And the way you guys broke that out. So if you're listening to this,
appreciate it.
Looking for last minute content and you haven't read that yet, go look through that, because it was super, super awesome. So what else you got coming, Chip?
Appreciate it, man. The big thing I pride myself with that Jaguar report is, like we have like a good volume of stuff and quantity of things, but the quality never suffers. Like we're like, in my mind, I basically, just to give you an idea of how we do it, like nothing that goes on that site goes on there without my eyes on it, without my approval. And I try to make sure everything on there is, you can at least take something from and learn from. So there's so much articles on there from over the last couple months on draft stuff. You can find like prospect profiles, guys I think make sense to trade back for, Trent Baalke's insane trade history, all that kind of stuff. Stuff that's coming up. This morning I did my, I normally I've been like a draft nerd since 2013. It's probably the worst part of my personality. I've always loved the NFL draft, even when I was a kid. The NFL draft is just cool as hell to me. And this year I decided, hey, I have a platform. Wall and I might as well, go ahead and blend the draft in my platform and kind of put my work out there. I didn't do it last year. I can honestly say probably just because I was lazy, but I figured why not do it this year? So I put out a ranking of the 150 guys who I watched multiple games of. Obviously didn't watch a ton of guys, missed a few big name guys, but I watched at least 3 to 4 games of 150 guys, gave my thoughts on them, kind of ranked them into different tiers this morning. Tomorrow, I'm going to be releasing some position rankings for guys that make sense from like a Jaguars point of view. So like Javonte Williams from UNC, he's one of the 4 best running backs in the draft this year, but I'd rather have Couch running the ball than him. Like just in terms of a scheme fit for the Jaguars, they already have that guy in James Robinson. So guys like him, he won't be on there. So I'm gonna be doing some Jaguar specific fits, and then Cassidy Hill, she tracked down RJ Soward. She's going to be talking to him about, kind of his story, what really went down in Jacksonville, his thoughts on it. And she's given me a few looks into it, and I've been really impressed by it. And I can say I think the fans of Jacksonville and the people of Jacksonville are going to appreciate his sentiment, because it comes across more so as he feels like he let those people down, as opposed to he let anybody in the NFL or the football world down. And then also I'm gonna be talking to Kevin Hardy for about 15 minutes tomorrow. He's going to be announcing the Jags second round draft pick on Friday. So I'm gonna be talking to him tomorrow just about how he feels about the direction of the team, where they're going, and basically just stuff like that. I love talking to some of the old heads when it comes to the Jaguars, because I think they have some of the best perspectives when it comes to current things, especially guys who still pay attention like Kevin.
Cool, dude. That is jam packed, you guys, and I expect nothing less.
Yeah, jam packed, and everything he said was sick as fuck. Like it wasn't like no fluff. I was like, oh, that's tight. Oh, yeah. That's tight.
That sounds.
And like, let it be known to everyone listening, when I retweet their work, Cassidy's too, it's because it's sick. It's not because we're friends. That shit they're putting out is dope. Go read it.
Yo, shout out to Cassidy. She does awesome work too, dude.
Yeah, she's fired. Gus is fired. Everyone over at Jaguar Report is dope.
Yeah, no.
You're not gonna be able to keep Cassidy long. She's gonna be somewhere else soon. But
yeah, I got no idea how she's still there.
Well, that's cool, man. I know that RJ Sauer piece, so just deliver a message to her from us, okay? RJ Sauer's real cool, but she'll be the real one when she gets Justin Blackman. I'm just saying.
Hey, we've tried. I promise you, we've tried. That guy is an enigma, man. He is hard as hell to find. And I looked it up. I guess The Athletic trying to a couple years ago, and their writer legit was just like, okay, I couldn't find him, so let me just go find people who knew him once.
Yeah. I think I remember that. All right, well, Chip, thanks so much, bro. We appreciate it.
Thanks, bro. Chip.
Yeah, thank you guys. Hey, best, not just best Jags podcast out there. In my opinion, one of the best sportscasts out there, because I mean, just you can tell you guys just have fun with it. It's laid back. You guys don't take anything too serious. So I do a hella podcast because I'm at the point where I'm trying to get my name out there as often as I can. There's no podcast I enjoy coming on more than this one.
Awesome.
We appreciate it, bro. Much love.
Let's
all more importantly, let's all enjoy the fuck out of this week, right? We deserve it. Yeah. You deserve it on the media side, getting to cover some cool shit. So enjoy it, soak it up, and let's do this damn thing.
Is there?
Peace, bro.
Peace.
All right, fellas. Hey, appreciate it, guys, as always, man.
Yeah, man. Yep. You too.
Have a good night, y'all.
Peace.
Later. All right, there he goes, John Shipley, and then there were the Trace Amigos.
So our last order of business is we got a little giveaway.
Yeah, we do. You guys tell the people about it.
Sponsor A1 Sliders is feeling the fucking cum face, and they're ready to give away a Trevor Lawrence jersey for us. So shout out to A1. So A1 approached us about giving away a Trevor Lawrence jersey, doing a contest, right? And we decided to, being the entrepreneurial minds that we are, we decided to start a YouTube channel. So please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We tweeted it about an hour and a half ago. We're already over 100 subscribers, which I think is pretty good. Is that good?
Sounds good.
Sounds good. I'm gonna try to post this video on there. Maybe posting videos gets more subscribers. I don't know how it works, honestly.
We're gonna figure it out.
I mean, I would assume that if you put content on the page, that probably helps. That's my assumption. I don't know if you guys know.
Well, I think what we're talking about, right, is getting these episodes up there eventually with in regularity, but also hopefully we'll figure out how to edit them properly and it'll look semi-professional. So bear with us. Yeah, maybe not. Bear with us as we go down that journey. It'll be fun to do that together. But bigger picture, long term, we're hoping to add all sorts of video content, right? Maybe game day vlogs type of deal, as well as especially on the road trips, right? I mean, I think so many of you out there that listen to us live kind of vicariously on those road trips that maybe you're not able to go on for one reason or another. So just adding all sorts of cool content, man, just trying to grow what we're doing. It's fun. We're not doing this because it's a career or anything, but YouTube seems like a cool platform to kind of bring this to. So sorry.
So
we're gonna give away a jersey.
So we're going to give away the jersey. So shout out to A1 Sliders. they're buying the Trevor jersey. We're going to give that bad boy away. Now, the way we're going to give it away is we're going to post a video of the Dillicle running the 40-yard dash. And we're going to time it, and we want all the listeners to give us a submission of what you think his 40 time is going to be. And the closest, or whoever gets it right on, is going to win the Trevor Lawrence jersey. Now, it's going to be a little bit difficult. So obviously we can't just do like a 4-5, a 5-4, or 4-5, or 6-3 or whatever, because there'd be too many people guessing that. You know what I mean? So we got to put it out. We got to put it out to a couple decimal points. Now I was looking at my stopwatch on my phone, and it only goes to 2 decimal points. So we may have to get like a real stopwatch.
Yeah, I think 2 decimal points. And even if there's a tie there, then we do like a coin flip for the winner, or, we get some other type of thing. 2 decimal points.
I think 2 is good. Okay.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, if for some reason 2 people have the same exact thing and they nail it, and that's what Dilla runs, cough, 4-9, my man's got wheels.
I think he's going to have quite the range. I think the responses are going to be rangy.
Yeah. Closest to the pin here.
So do we want to have people just at the handle? How do we want to track? It might be hard to track after a while. The Dillicle's traction when he retweets things. I mean,
we just hashtag it Dilla40.
Yeah.
Dilla40.
That's it. So you got to use the hashtag. You can at any of us, the pod. The best chance you have of us seeing it is if you at the pod and use the hashtag, right?
How about the first person chronologically to guess the right decimal if there's 2 people?
Yeah, I like that. That's fine.
Okay.
That's fine. That works. So I think we've got that all worked out. Again, shout out to Tony and A1 Sliders. That was awesome. He came to us and was like, dude, so pumped that the podcast is back. And pumped, obviously, that we're getting Trevor Lawrence. And we're like, yeah, us too, bro. And he was like, let's give away a damn jersey. And we're like,
yes, sir.
And then we all talked amongst us like, well, how do we win this thing? Because I want a free jersey. But, we decided to give it away to the listeners. So that's an awesome gift. Obviously, that'll have to be, once we announce the winner and all of that, and we post that video, we'll back channel get that to you. Obviously it's going to take the jersey actually coming in, which would be interesting to see exactly when those bad boys go online. If like the pick is in at 8:15, at like 8:15 and 30 seconds, if you can go online and already order them. But we'll get that taken care
of. Tony was like, just let me know how you want me to send the money. I was like, well, dude, we can't even buy the thing yet, right? Like they don't have those aren't live, right? Might as well be. And then last order of business, we picked up a new sponsor. So I just want to give them a shout out.
I was hoping you were going to do that for sure.
I'm going to make an ad for them, but Village Bread Cafe is a local restaurant that reached out to us. So we got a new sponsor, and I visited their location on the South Bank. So they have a location right in the bottom of the River Place Tower. For those who don't know what the River Place Tower is, it's the big building on the South Bank, white building, the tallest one on the South Bank. And it's gorgeous, man. Like you sit down you kind of order in the little line, and then you sit down and, the windows are out to, looking at the North Bank and the river. And you can walk right out onto the South Bank Riverwalk from their restaurant. So yeah. It's a really dope location.
Awesome local business, right? With a great location, a good history, and some really awesome products. I remember when I used to work downtown, I think it was a previous location of theirs maybe, but I would scoop their stuff regularly for lunch. And I know they make, I'm sure we're going to mention this in the ads and stuff, Sally, but they make all their own like bread and as well as a lot of their desserts and stuff, right, in-house, and they make a lot of bread for other places where people don't even maybe realize that they're using their buns or whatever. So
apparently Bono's is one of the big ones that they have, so that's, I guess, Bono's bread is all theirs. But and honestly, dude, like the food was good and it was cheap too. Like we didn't spend anything, and you have this amazing view on the South Bank. Now they also have a location on Phillips Highway, but to not even have to you basically got the same view as you get at Ruth's Chris downtown, and you're paying like like breakfast prices, like regular breakfast prices. You know what I'm saying? So it's very dope. So we're happy to partner with those guys. Closer to the season, they may be working on some like game day specials in connection with us, and maybe even like a special menu item or something like that. So we'll have more, obviously once we get closer to the season.
Cool.
So, shout out to them. You guys got anything else?
Not really, man. I mean, just like kind of what we said there to Shipley, enjoy it, everybody. I think most of you are going to listen to this either Wednesday or on draft day. Enjoy it. We haven't gotten, don't get caught too much up in who the hell ever is pick number 25. I mean, we're all going to be excited for it. It's awesome having the 2 picks, but just enjoy Jacksonville being the center of the NFL and the football world for a little bit on Thursday night. Enjoy the fact that you can't really – everything that's come out about Trevor in the last month or two just points more and more to like that he's a solid-ass dude that's going to be happy to be here. So not only are you getting that guy who is a quote-unquote generational type of prospect, and we're going to see where that takes us, but you're getting a dude who I think is just going to fit in so well here and is going to be happy to be here. And I can't remember a time as a Jaguar fan, especially as an adult, where there's been this much positive energy surrounding everything about the team. And it's just I can't stop smiling when I think about, us and the homies getting together Thursday night over here at my crib to break some bread and take this in together. I can't stop smiling when I think about how excited my son and all the younger fans are. Boys, I got to tell you, I have had so many I know we're talking about the 124 Renaissance. And it's amazing because we're getting the band back together, the original band. But there are more and more people. I had a couple people this afternoon and this evening texting me like, hey, I'm looking at this row. I mean, people I don't know. I've never interacted with. They're like, tell me if row J is better than double X, or double D. And I'm just like,
you always go with double D, first of all.
Oh yeah.
Right? But like, it's just people again who are like, hey, I live out of town. I might only make 2 games, but I got to be a part of this. I'm getting season tickets. I mean, that's how it was back in 2017, 2018. Bless you. In 2007, which I know, you guys being a little younger than I didn't have season tickets back then necessarily, but like in 06 and 07 and back then, what a cool feeling, man. So that I just kind of wanted to close with that tonight. Just remind people, enjoy it, soak it up. We don't get a lot of this. When we talk
more importantly, get used to it. It ain't going away.
Oh shit, I like it. So you're taking it a step further than me. I'm just trying to live in the moment because I'm still a little nervous. But
Cap's just happy to be here.
I'm just happy to be here. I'm trying to live in the moment. I'm a little nervous about all of it, but I
had to put out a shit ass mock draft just to make myself like feel like okay, relax.
You're good. But yeah, you're good. And again, that's what I mean though. Like I want to have that confidence. I don't know that I'm at that level yet, but I am at the level of. I don't give it like I genuinely am not concerning myself with whether he's going to be amazing or not. I'm happy that we have this opportunity and I'm going to ride that wave for a little while and then worry about that once it all comes.
For me, it feels like when Alabama got Nick Saban, I knew it was going to be kind of slow to start, but we're about to be on top and like real quick. And it's the same vibes. Everything's aligning. New coach and new talent. It's all right there. And in the NFL, the quarterback's the cash crop.
Yeah.
And now we got it. Let's make some money.
Let's do it. I love it. Yeah. Rock and roll.
That it, fellas?
That's it.
Hashtag Villa 40.
Hashtag Villa 40. Hashtag.
Give us the guess, make it to 2 decimal points, and then wait for the content.
Wait for the content.
We'll record it at Cap's house before the draft. We draft D-Law.
We'll have to figure that out. It's a little dark on my street. We'll have to figure that out. Maybe get the spotlights out or something. Turn the headlights.
We all got car lights.
Let's use the car lights. Like what's that movie with Vince Papali, Invincible? Like where they did. Yeah, we had to get a scene like that going. Yes, we'll get the freaking. I'll get the Rocky music playing on the speaker. Yeah. Love it. Oh my goodness, we'll go slow-mo on it. Oh, we'll have a couple different versions.
Y'all got way too much faith in my editing abilities here.
I know. Freaking Andy Willis had to go up to damn Cleveland for the draft where the pick's not even going to be there. But anyway, all right, fellas. Only one thing left to do, right?
You know what time it is.
Love you, JB.
Love you, JB.
Love you, JB. And I love you, Trevor.